A very good morning from the Galle International Stadium. I can tell you that it is not the usual morning. Generally we have strong sunshine and blue skies. It's very different, but still very, very pleasant. And as I said, a good morning to everybody, wherever you are, whatever time zone you're in. It's a historic day for Sri Lanka because Test cricket is back. Don't forget, we haven't had international cricket for a while. As the world knows, this pandemic has been causing real issues. But thankfully, all that has been overcome in terms of playing, and we are ready to start. The umpires are out there, and the England team, and we should have the two openers coming out shortly. The big news is Dimuth Karunaratne is not playing, so Dinesh Chandimal is captain. And just a quick look at the two teams that are playing today. Well, that's a look at the teams. I'll let Mark Butcher, who's with me, talk about the England team. Morning, Butch.
Very morning to you, Roshan. The weather is friendly here in Galle in comparison to what it's usually like. But England have gone with Zach Crawley at the top of the order. He was so successful, of course, making that brilliant double 100 against Pakistan back in August at number 3. But Johnny Bairstow comes in at 3 for him. Dan Lawrence of Chingford in Essex comes in to make his Test match debut at number 5. And England have gone for Mark Wood, who hasn't played a Test match since the first Test match of last COVID summer, against the West Indies, which was all the way back in July. So England have gone for his extra pace. Jimmy Anderson sits this one out, and Sam Curran will be England's all-rounder. No Moeen Ali, of course. He is still struggling with COVID, still has 1 or 2 symptoms, we believe, from the UK strain of the COVID infection. So England's 2 spinners will be the relatively inexperienced Leach and Bess, former teammates at Somerset, of course, although Don Bess is now at Yorkshire. And England, who won the toss on all 3 occasions in their win here in 2018, will have to do it the hard way here, batting second. Hiro Tiramani is up there opening the batting. And of course, Kusal Perera, man who made that astonishing 156 not out and run chase against South Africa in Durban not so long ago.
Interesting bowling combinations, Butch. 3 spinners for Sri Lanka, 1 frontline seamer in Asitha Fernando, and Stuart Broad starting things off. What an awesome record he's got. He bowled to Lahiru Thirimana with 3 slips and a gully. And just a quick question before things get underway. I see a black armband.
Yeah, well, England have lost 3 former players, John Edridge and Robin Jackman, both of Surrey County Cricket Club, and Don Smith, who was the oldest English cricketer.
Down the leg side from round the wicket. That's the first delivery. And just angling down the leg side. Thirimana just getting inside the line. So he's got a man out on the fine leg boundary. Mid-wicket, mid-on. Also mid-off and point. You know, the Galle Stadium, as usual, is quite picturesque. But the new normal, no spectators.
No, there's one flag on the army would normally be here in force for a tour of Sri Lanka, for a tour of anywhere, in fact, supporting England. I have spied just the one Army flag. And even though we have no spectators in the ground, there does seem to be a bit of a problem with the sight screens. Ah, there it is. Randy Caddick's 10-month wait. Maybe we shouldn't ask. But, we have a problem with the digital sight screen hasn't flipped over to white. So we're 1 ball into the Test match and we have a delay. It's my first time back here, Roshan, since the 2003 tour of Sri Lanka that England embarked upon. So it's the first time I've seen the ground since the tsunami. Beautifully positioned on the southwest coast, Indian Ocean surrounding us. But the ground has been rebuilt and revamped. And as you say, it's still a wonderful place to play and view cricket from.
What's with you? I mean, you said it was a chaotic toss. Now here you are with the mic and play held up.
Just a master of disaster, Roshan. Stuart Broad barely have managed to get a sweat on. There's Dan Lawrence. What a moment it is for him. Sadly lost his mother last summer in August. Oh, mix up. Direct hit from Mark Wood. I think Tirumani has made his ground, and that would have been a shocking start.
Well, I don't think Kusal Pereira saw the funny side of it. Tirumani blindly took off. And yes, there would have been serious trouble. Direct hit.
6.97. Zach Crawley was 6.95. Alan Jones has nipped in between them. Alan Jones of Glamorgan played a test match for England back in 1970 against the rest of the world. That's now been recognised as an official test match. Here he is receiving that cap from former Essex teammate James Foster. Incredibly proud moment for him and his dad, who is still head groundsman at Chingford Cricket Club back there in Essex.
He's gone round the wicket, looks to bring the ball back into the left-hander. First delivery was down the leg side, but he's been tighter with his line after that.
Drone cam giving us a beautiful overhead view of the ground. Pitch looks pretty slow from Russell Arnold's pitch report. Looks to be spot on. Broad will, from that round the wicket angle, look to try and nip the odd ball away from the left-handers. You're right, at the moment the two balls have just nipped back in. My impression from this surface was that it's an even covering of grass, perhaps a little bit more than you might expect from Gaul, but that it was a little bit tacky underneath. We have had an enormous amount of rain here over the last 7 or so days. Managed to watch most of it from my hotel room in quarantine, so it will be a little bit slow.
It's a maiden, not for naught. That's a beautiful picture given to you from the drone camera from quite a height. And let's look at the Gaul Stadium. It's one of the most picturesque, absolutely picturesque grounds. We've spoken about the backdrop, the old fort. Yeah, we've got people up there, I can tell you. Those numbers will increase. No spectators in the ground, so lots of them will be up there in the ramparts.
They're looking the wrong way, Roshan.
No real interest at the moment. That's the reason why. They're looking at the sea. The sea seems to be of far greater interest.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's a couple of cricketers who are well worth keeping an eye on in the game at the moment. Sam Curran, just 22 years of age. He's already made a name for himself in the IPL, as well as in English cricket. He'll take the new ball and look to swing it. And of course, Kusal Pereira, who is an eye-catching batsman of the highest order. Not in great form though.
3 slips. Sam Curran will move it around. We know that he's capable. And these conditions are quite good. It's quite cloudy. We don't have those blue skies, the sun really beating down, so he'll enjoy this. And Sri Lanka winning the toss and batting, we have to make sure that they negotiate this first session. That's going to be the real challenge.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The evidence of that ball is just holding a little bit of nip back into Kusal. Curran just looking to fire that one up there to see if he'll swing. Nothing as yet. So Curran will enjoy the breeze that he has going from the city end. From his left shoulder across the ground towards the ocean. So he'll be looking to get it up there and try to swing it away from these 2 left-handers.
There is a gentle cross breeze that will help the left armour. And again, the side screen seemed to be having a few issues. We did have an issue on the other side, but things are all right. Bounce.
Yeah, and I wonder if that might be a reason also that England have decided to leave Stuart Broad. Of the 2 great bowlers, Anderson and Broad, they've gone for the taller man in Stuart Broad.
2 umpires today, Kumar Dharmasena. That's a rarity because he hardly gets a chance of officiating at home, just like Ranjan Madugalla, who's at the toss. And Ruchira Palya Guruge, the other umpire, both in current context, Sri Lankan umpires in the top panel standing.
Excellent length from Curran. That ball does anything from there, and he's in business.
And Ranjan Madugalla, of course, our match referee, the chief of ICC match referees. Lyndon Hannibal, the TV umpire.
Oh, big shout, big shout. Length was excellent. The ball did not swing back towards off stump. England are thinking about a review. My feeling is that might have scuttled along and hit the outside half of leg stump. But Root says no.
Don't forget, both teams have 3 reviews. Interesting to look at, as you said, Butch. It's just missing leg stump. The height was right. The height was right.
Can't wait to see Hawkeye here. Joe Root probably figured that it would be umpire's call, but I'd be very, very interested to see Hawkeye.
Two maiden overs. It's not for naught. So let's look at the Sri Lankan side. No Dimuth Karunaratne, just not recovering from his finger injury. So Chandimal captaining his 18th test as captain. Don't forget, Chandimal's last test was in Australia in 2019. So Dimuth Karunaratne replaced him.
Yeah, last test as captain, isn't it? He missed Karunaratne's runs. A century in the final innings of their defeat in South Africa. Broke a finger along the way. Were roughed up by the South African quicks down there.
First runs for Sri Lanka. Tirimana gets a single. Yeah, that was a really heroic innings. Karunaratne was just bruised and battered against those really quick bowling on those the bouncy tracks, and his stability at the top will be missed. One thing about the Sri Lankan captains is that they tend to enjoy that burden, the extra load, and Dimuth Karunaratne was quite prolific as a captain batsman.
It tends to go the other way with the England captains.
I think with most captains that has happened. We've seen that.
Steve Smith might have argued that point a little bit. Let's have a look at the UBW call. I reckon that's a leg stump, you know. Yeah. But Joe Root was absolutely right in conjunction with Joss Butler and the bowler that umpire's call would have been the eventual call.
I think in the modern day, with you not losing a review on the umpire's call, I think that's a chance you can take.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm very, very pleased that that law has been adjusted, that you don't lose a review when essentially you're correct, aren't you? And in the past, you would make a correct call or a correct review and lose it, but now you keep it. In fact, I don't see the reason to have 3 reviews now that you keep the ones that you get right. Right in inverted commas, that is.
Down to find leggies off the mark as well. So both openers just getting off the mark. But interestingly, this umpire's call thing and losing a review, if you're striking the stumps, and if it is in line and within the rules, it's not outside the leg stump, then it's a very fair call.
Yeah, I mean, and that's absolutely right that they don't lose that review. That's entirely the reason why I think it's good. It's also the reason why I think you don't need 3. You go back to 2 as it was before.
He's just been going down the leg side a bit. Stuart Broad, his line hasn't really been working, has gone round the wicket. He's looking to bowl more that off-stump line. Just try and straighten up one to the left hand or just take it away if he can with those slips in. But so far, it's been into the left-hander.
Yeah, I think you could probably excuse England's new ball bowlers for not being pinpoint at this moment in time. It's been since August that England have played a test match.
Over the top. And Kusal Perera will get a boundary.
Got to keep your eyes on this man. 7 without loss.
There's 2 batsmen in the 40s. Lauru Tirimana will be more disappointed than most to see his average at 22. He's played quite a few games, and as a top order batsman, you would want that average to at least be where Kusal Mendes is, which is in the middle, mid-30s. Kusal Perera is 31, his average.
36 test matches to average 22 for a top order player. Considering yourself a little bit fortunate to still be in the side. Let's have a look at this from Kusal Perera. That's the way he goes about it. Wonderful stroke player. Free swing of the arms, little check drive, very much a la Jayasuriya. Well, England haven't been bang on things with the new ball as yet. Pitch is slow, a little bit of hold perhaps, tackiness. I'll tell you one thing as well from being out there in the middle, Roshan, the ground is unbelievably heavy here. You know that they have that wonderful covering system where every inch of the ground is covered by tarpaulins. However, as a fast bowler, you would not want to be putting too many overs in with the run-ups as they are. Very, very heavy indeed. Tough on the hamstrings, tough on the glutes. As you can see from those dark areas, it is pretty soggy in the outfield.
Just to reiterate that England are wearing black armbands because John Edridge, Robin Jackman and Don Smith, all former England Test cricketers, have sadly passed away recently. So that's the reason, in case you're wondering and you didn't hear Butch explaining it earlier on, that's the reason why they're all in black armbands.
John Edridge was having one or two net sessions with him back in my early days as a player at Surrey County Cricket Club. Test match triple centurion, wonderful left-handed top order player. And Robin Jackman, well, brilliant commentator, great storyteller, narrator, also a wonderful man. I used to call him Uncle when I was a kid. He played in the same side as my dad at the Oval.
While playing, you called him Uncle?
70s and 80s, yeah. Well, I was only 4 or 5 years old. I used to run around in the backyard with his daughters when we were kids. Jack is a wonderful, wonderful man. Sad loss to cricket and to broadcasting.
But yeah, on the point of John Edridge, I think he was known to be a real gutsy performer. That series against the West Indies in '76 when Closey and he opened, that's what's always spoken about in Thompson and Lilly. So at the moment there is a hold up. We're having a few issues, some teething problems, because don't forget we haven't played international cricket for a while, so people struggling to get their act together. The side screens have been a bit stubborn, I should say.
There's only 10 people down there. I mean, how difficult can it be? England have got an enormous amount of test matches in 2021. 2 against Sri Lanka here, then straight to India for 2 in Chennai, and then 2 more in Hyderabad, I think. Then New Zealand come over for 2 test matches in the English summer. India back for 5, so 9 test matches against India, all in the ICC World Test Championship in the space of a calendar year. And then, of course, the Ashes down under in Australia, so 4 test matches. The 5th test match, of course, will be in 2022. So England will have a chance, as they have done here. They've rested Ben Stokes and Jofra Archer, who would normally be in the first choice 11. Rory Burns is at home, a top order batsman, opening batsman, because of the birth of his child. Ollie Pope is here on tour at the moment, but is out with the shoulder injury that's dogged him of late. So England are going to need all of the resources that they have in terms of fast bowling. Ollie Stone is here, he's a promising quick from Warwickshire. Anderson sits this one out. But yeah, I mean, that's a heck of a lot of test match cricket in 1 year. I mean, New Zealand and Sri Lanka could only dream of playing that many test matches.
It's 17, you know. That's a lot. So the players have decided to take some drinks during this break. It's been a slow start. It's not ideal even if you're a batsman, because you're really not in, you just with so many breaks, got to switch on and switch off. And not ideal.
No, not good. Needs to be sorted out quickly. Something else that needs to be sorted out. England are playing in Ahmedabad, not Hyderabad, in the upcoming tour. So look forward to that immensely.
This is the trophy they're playing for, the 2 test series. So 3 slips in. Play resumes.
That's fantastic line and length again from Curran. Tiramani managed to get the inside half of the bat on it, but if he hadn't, I think he might have been in big trouble. No, from experience as a left-handed batsman, you're almost closing your eyes and hoping you get a bit of bat on that one. You've misjudged the length, you've got a little bit too far across to your off stump. Miss it, you're gone. Leg slip in now.
Current strength. He's not out and out quick, as we know, but he's brilliant with his lines and lengths. And even in conditions like this. And there you are. That was fuller.
I guess one thing that England would have talked about in Sri Lanka is not wasting the new ball, making the batsmen play, and they've done that. Yes, they've been a little bit leg side, but they have been at the stumps. I don't see a massive amount of catches at slip here in Gaul or in any of the grounds in Sri Lanka. That would be fair to say, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is, but having said that, today I thought there was some bounce. At least one or two balls did bounce. Broad from his height. But you're right. I mean, generally the bounce get lower as the game progresses. And the spinners would start to rely more on the natural variations than anything else. Generally the likes of Rangan Hera, when he played here, he was so accurate. He would be bowling overs and overs and overs just at you. And then the natural variations would come in. He would bowl with the newish ball, the oldish ball.
Now it's going to be a challenge for England if they don't manage to break through with the new ball. Mark Wood, of course, will come on first change. The two spinners, Jack Leach, who hasn't played a test match now since November 2019. Illness has dogged him over the last 12 months or so. Mark Wood hasn't played, as I said, since July in test match cricket. And Leach and Bess are very inexperienced in these conditions. 4 overs gone, 9 without loss.
Slow start, just 4 overs. We had a few interruptions. Broad has been a bit down the leg side. Curran has been tighter. But generally the lines and lengths have been decent by the England seamers. Leg slip, 2 slips. Short mid-wicket. Round the wicket angle still from Broad. We'll be hoping for that one that straightens up the line around that off stump. Generally into the left-hander.
Slightly uppish, but again, aggressive intent from Kusar. You already see the pattern of play here in Sri Lanka, particularly at Gaul. Catching men in front of the bat as much as behind. Short extra cover. Sort of wideish extra cover anyway, and straight short mid-wicket. And that third slip has now been positioned at sort of wideish leg slip. Uppish again for exactly that reason.
We'll see more of them as the game progresses. The pitch slows down, as we know. So short mid-wicket, short extra cover will come into play. And that's another look.
Yeah, Kusar needs to be careful. Played that beautiful check drive over the top, entirely intentional. Be very careful not to walk into your drives on these slower pitches. You need to have your balance. Create a firm base and make sure that you stay over the ball. Otherwise, you will hole out to mid-off.
Spoken about the tight line, spoken about the way the Englishmen have looked to be accurate. Obviously, they would add a lot of chat about it. Well, as you know, in the modern game, so much of information provided, so they'll know obviously what to do. And this is what we've seen this morning. It's really been tight. Good. On the line of the stumps. And generally look to be in good areas.
Yeah, there's been no gimmies from England. Maybe the odd ball tickled down the leg side, but nothing short, nothing wide. Building up pressure nicely. Stuart Broad mentioned, in fact, I wandered past him out in the middle, that caught in front of the bat might be just as dangerous as behind today.
That's more like it. Long half volley. That's a boundary. Likes to find the ball coming on. Really doesn't move too much, but it's a good hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, he'll be delighted with this. This is the sort of execution we're talking about. Anchored that back foot. The head down over the front knee. Hasn't walked into that one. Picture perfect.
Absolutely. Really doesn't move his feet too much, but he gets over the ball. That's what's important. Where has that gone? Down to the man at fine leg. Oh, he completely misjudged it. He lost it. And Pereira will come back for two.
What an escape this is. What an escape. It's a poor shot from Kusal Pereira. The ball wasn't short enough. He just tried to swivel, pull it, and help it on its way. And Jack Leach is running completely the opposite direction to the ball. In fact, if he'd been stood still, I think it would have gone straight down his throat. He ran to his right, and the ball landed exactly where he'd been standing. Did not pick it up at all.
Well, well, well. How did he manage that?
I mean, to be fair, the brick, the stone of the old fort is very dark, so maybe straight off the bat he didn't catch it, but once it got up into the sky, in fact, when it did get up into the sky, that's when he spotted it. But by then he'd already run 15 yards to his right. You imagine you're looking at that from 150, 200 yards away. It's very, very black off the bat. And that must be where Jack Leach lost it.
Last ball of the over. 15 without loss.